I was selling food from my cart on the street when my son Stephen and his wife showed up. He looked at me like I was trash. I can't take this anymore, Dad. You look like a beggar out here. You want the truth? You're my shame. Before I could respond, engines roared. 3 luxury cars pulled up, disrupting the entire street. Everyone stopped, stared. 3 people stepped out. Young, powerful, wearing expensive suits. They walked straight to me. The woman looked into my eyes and said just 2 words. Those 2 words made my son's face go pale. His head bowed in respect. You want to know what those 2 words were, don't you? Before I continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? What time is it there? Let's connect. Let me tell you about the worst day of my life. October 14th, 2024, a Tuesday. Cold enough in Chicago that you could see your breath, but not cold enough to keep people inside. The sky hung low and gray, pressing down like it knew something I didn't. I was 62 years old. I've been running my food cart on the corner of 47th and King Drive for 13 years. Nothing special, just a beat-up metal stand with a faded umbrella, selling hot dogs and Polish sausages for a few dollars. The paint peeled. The wheels squeaked. But it was mine. It was all I had. That afternoon I was exhausted, the kind of tired that settles into your bones and reminds you you're not young anymore. My hands ached from the cold. My back burned from standing, but I stayed because where else would I go? This corner, this cart, these few customers who knew my name. This was my life. I remember thinking, is this all there is? Then my son showed up. Stephen, 37, clean-shaven, expensive coat, the kind of man who looks like he has everything figured out. He pulled up in a silver Lexus and my chest tightened instantly. Stephen never came to see me just to say hello. His wife Brenda stepped out beside him. Designer purse, heels clicking on the cracked pavement. She looked at my cart the way you'd look at trash. Dad, Stephen said. Not high, just Dad. Flat. Cold. I wiped my hands on my apron. Stephen, Brenda, what brings you? You need to stop this. He cut in loud enough for people to hear. This is embarrassing. You're embarrassing me. Heat rose in my face, not anger, shame, the kind that sinks deep and stays. I'm just trying to make a living, I said quietly. A living, Brenda laughed. Sharp. Cruel. You're a street vendor, at your age. Stephen. No. He stepped closer, disgust plain in his eyes. I'm done pretending. You've always been an embarrassment. Honestly, I don't know why you don't just stop. Stop existing. It would make everyone's life easier. The words crushed the air from my lungs. Stop existing. My own son, wishing I were dead. I couldn't speak. What does a father say to that? People had stopped walking. They were watching now, uncomfortable, curious, entertained. I felt smaller than I ever had. Then I heard engines. Not loud engines, smooth ones, expensive. 3 cars turned onto 47th Street, moving slowly, deliberately. These weren't just vehicles. They were statements. A black Cadillac Escalade, a white Tesla Model X with doors worth more than my cart, and a navy blue Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the kind you only see in movies. The street went silent. Stephen and Brenda turned stunned. The cars stopped, right in front of my cart. Doors opened. 3 people stepped out. 2 men and a woman, mid-20s, wearing suits that cost more than everything I owned combined. They moved with confidence like they belonged anywhere they stood. I stared. Something about them felt familiar, but shock blurred my thoughts. Stephen straightened his tie, fake smile ready. Excuse me, can I help? Move, the woman said. Stephen blinked. I'm sorry. I said move. Her voice was calm, unchallenged. Stephen stepped back. Brenda grabbed his arm. The woman walked toward me. The men flanked her. Phones came out. This was already becoming a spectacle. I stood frozen, heart pounding. She stopped in front of me, tall, confident. Her dark eyes locked onto mine. They filled with tears. Grandpa Blake, she whispered. The world stopped. I looked at her face, really looked, and memory crashed over me. Emma. Beside her, Lucas and Noah. My kids. The 3 I'd raised. The 3 I thought I'd lost forever. They stood there in luxury cars, calling me Grandpa. And 5 feet away, my son, the one who'd just told me to stop existing, stood frozen, his face white as paper. Let me take you back, 13 years ago, 2011. I was 49 years old, and I believed my life was finished. I had spent 20 years working assembly lines in Detroit, auto plants, union jobs that once meant stability and dignity, work that paid the bills. By 2010, factories were closing, the economy was collapsing, and suddenly I was unemployed. My wife, Janet, couldn't take it anymore. After 23 years of marriage, poverty broke us. One morning I woke up and she was gone. No note. Just an empty closet and her wedding ring on the kitchen table. My son Stephen was 24 then, fresh out of college, working as an accountant. He had a nice apartment and a girlfriend named Brenda. He had everything I didn't, and he hated me for it. He hated that I was broke unemployed, that I reminded him of failure. When I lost the house and asked if I could stay with him for a few months, he agreed, but I saw the disgust in his eyes. Brenda was worse. She walked past me like I didn't exist, complained about my cheap soap, told Stephen I was dragging him down. 3 months later, Stephen sat me down. "Dad, you need to leave," he said flat and cold. "I'm looking for work," I said. "Just give me more time." "No," he replied. "Brenda and I are getting serious. Marriage serious. And you being here, it's not working." "Stephen, I'm your father?" "You're an embarrassment," Brenda said from the doorway. "You make this place smell like failure." I packed my bag that night. Stephen handed me $200 without meeting my eyes. "Good luck, Dad," he said. That was it. I took a Greyhound bus to Chicago. No plan, no contacts. Just knew I couldn't stay in Detroit. Too many ghosts. I rented a tiny room on the south side. 1 room. Shared bathroom. $75 a week. I used my last savings to buy a used food cart and started selling hot dogs at 47th and King Drive. It wasn't much, but it was mine. For 2 months I worked alone, sold food, went home, slept, repeated. I barely spoke to anyone. Then one October night everything changed. It was past midnight. Cold rain pouring, soaking through clothes and bone. I was closing my cart when I saw them. 3 kids huddled under an overpass, soaked, shivering, about 13 years old. 2 boys and a girl. Too thin, torn clothes, hollow eyes. I walked over. "You kids okay?" The girl looked up. Dark eyes, wet hair. "We're fine," she said, but her voice shook. "When did you last eat?" She hesitated. "Yesterday." I made 3 hot dogs and brought them back. They ate silently, desperately. Afterward the girl spoke. "Thank you. I'm Emma. These are Lucas and Noah. We're triplets. Where are your parents?" "Dead," she said. "Car accident 6 months ago." My chest tightened. "Family foster care." "No family," Lucas said. "And foster homes want to split us up." Noah stared at the ground, hands trembling, not from cold, but fear. I looked at them, homeless, orphaned, terrified, and I thought of my empty apartment, my empty life, my son who didn't want me. "You're coming with me," I said. Emma froze. "What?" "Get your things. You're staying with me tonight." "Just tonight," Noah whispered. I looked at him and saw myself lost, broken, desperate. "For as long as you need," I said. That night they slept in my apartment with blankets and the couch. They slept like they hadn't slept in months. For the first time in years, I wasn't alone. The next morning I laid out the rules. School, homework, helping with the cart, never giving up. Emma nodded, crying, "Deal." For 5 years we were a family. 1 room, mattresses on the floor, me on the couch. Loud, crowded, home. I taught them to cook, save money, dream. Emma loved math. Lucas wanted to be a doctor. Noah built machines from scrap. Every night we ate together and talked about the future. One night Emma called me Grandpa by accident. I told her I liked it. From then on I was Grandpa Blake. I worked 16-hour days so they'd have clothes books hope. By 2016 they were 18. "Go," I told them. "Find your futures." They left with backpacks and dreams. I cried alone. For 8 years I wondered if I'd see them again. I never imagined they'd return in Rolls Royces ready to save me the way I saved them. Back to that day. The 3 luxury cars. The woman calling me Grandpa. I stood there frozen, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might break through my chest. My hands were shaking, my vision blurred with tears. "Emma," I whispered, my voice cracked. "Is that really you?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "It's me, Grandpa. It's us." I reached out with trembling fingers and touched her hand. Real, solid, warm. She grabbed my hand and held it tight, and I felt 8 years of grief and loneliness crack open inside me. "Lucas, Noah." The 2 men stepped forward. Lucas tall, confident, wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit. Noah glasses, sharp eyes, an expensive watch on his wrist. They looked nothing like the scared, skinny kids I'd raised. They looked like they owned the world. "We're here, Grandpa," Lucas said, his voice steady but his eyes wet. "We made it, just like you told us to." I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. All I could do was pull them close, first Emma, then Lucas, then Noah, and hold them like I'd never let go again. "I thought I lost you," I choked out. "I thought—" "We're sorry," Emma whispered. We wanted to contact you sooner, but we needed to make sure we could really help you. We needed to be strong enough. You left to become a CEO. I looked at Emma stunned. You're a CEO. She smiled through her tears. Tech company. Started it 3 years ago. We're worth $40 million now. I turned to Lucas. And you... Cardiac surgeon, he said quietly. Johns Hopkins. Best in my class. Noah grinned. Aerospace engineer, NASA contractor. I designed satellites, Grandpa. I stared at them. These 3 kids. These 3 orphans I'd found under a bridge. They'd become this. I'm so proud of you, I whispered. So proud. And then I heard a voice behind me. A voice I knew too well. Dad. Stephen stepped forward, his face pale but trying to smile, trying to look friendly. I didn't know you had connections like this. Friends in high places. Maybe we should talk. Stop! Emma's voice cut through the air like a blade. She turned to Stephen and her expression went ice cold. Who are you? I'm his son, Stephen said, straightening his tie. Stephen Carson, Blake's son. I was just... No. Emma stepped between us, her eyes locked on Stephen with pure contempt. Blake isn't your father anymore. He's ours. Stephen blinked. What I don't understand... You threw him away, Lucas said, his voice low and hard. He moved to my left side, standing like a wall. You told him to stop existing. We heard you. Noah stepped to my right. You treated him like garbage. We won't let you do it again. Stephen's face flushed red. This is ridiculous. He's my father. I have every right. You have no rights, Emma said coldly. You gave those up 13 years ago when you threw him out. Blake raised us, fed us, loved us. While you, what did you do? You wished he was dead. Brenda grabbed Stephen's arm, pulling him back. Stephen, let's just go. No, Stephen's voice rose desperate now. Dad, tell them. Tell them I'm your son. Tell them... I looked at him. My son, the boy I'd raised, the man who'd looked me in the eye and told me to stop existing. And then I looked at Emma Lucas and Noah, the 3 kids who'd called me Grandpa, who'd stayed when Stephen left, who'd loved me when Stephen hated me. Blood doesn't make you family. Love does. Stephen, I said quietly, they're right. You're my son, but they're my family. Stephen's face went white. The crowd around us was silent, recording everything on their phones. Emma put her arm around my shoulders. Lucas and Noah stood close, protective, solid. For the first time in 13 years, I felt safe. I felt loved. But I could see it in Stephen's eyes. Rage, jealousy, humiliation, and I knew this wasn't over. Stephen wasn't the type to let go. He wasn't the type to walk away quietly when he'd been embarrassed in front of a crowd. He'd find a way to hurt me, to destroy this moment, to take this happiness away. Because that's what he did. The next few days, something strange happened. At first, I didn't notice. I was still floating on air, still replaying that moment when Emma Lucas and Noah had stepped out of those cars and called me Grandpa. Still feeling their arms around me, still hearing their voices. But then the whispers started. I was serving a regular customer, Tommy, a construction worker who'd been buying lunch from me for years, when I noticed him staring at his phone, frowning. Everything okay, Tommy? I asked. He looked up, hesitated. Yeah, Blake. Just, you take care of yourself, all right? What do you mean? He shook his head, grabbed his food, and walked away without another word. The next day, fewer customers came. The ones who did wouldn't look me in the eye. They'd order, pay, and leave quickly. No small talk, no smiles. Then Mrs. Jenkins, my neighbor, stopped by my cart. She was 70, always kind, always checked on me. Blake, she said quietly, pulling me aside, I need to tell you something. Your son Stephen, he's been posting things online. About you. My stomach dropped. What kind of things? She pulled out her phone and showed me. Facebook, Stephen's profile. The post said, I need to come clean about something. My father, Blake Carson, isn't the kind man people think he is. He manipulated 3 young, vulnerable people into thinking he saved them, just so he could use them for their money, now that they're successful. I've known him my whole life. He's always been a con artist. Please, if you know these 3 young people, warn them. He's dangerous. The post had over 200 likes, dozens of comments. That's so sad. Those poor kids. I always knew something was off about that guy. Someone should report him. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. My own son, my own blood, was telling the world I was a liar, a con artist, a manipulator. Blake. Mrs. Jenkins touched my arm. Are you okay? I couldn't answer. I just handed her phone back and turned away. Over the next few days, it got worse. My regular customers stopped coming. People walked past my cart without looking. A woman pulled her child away from me like I was dangerous. One man stopped, glared at me, and said, "You should be ashamed of yourself, taking advantage of those kids." I didn't. I started, but he was already walking away. I stood there alone, the cold wind cutting through my jacket, and I felt it again, that old familiar feeling. Invisible, worthless, alone. Why I kept asking myself, why was Stephen doing this? I knew he was angry, embarrassed, but this destroying my reputation, turning people against me. What did I do to deserve a son who hated me this much? That night I sat in my apartment staring at the wall. I hadn't eaten, hadn't slept, just sat there numb. And then my phone rang. It was Emma. "Grandpa," she said, her voice urgent, "have you seen what Stephen's been posting?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "I've seen it." "Listen to me. Don't worry. We're handling it." "Emma, you don't need to." "Grandpa," her voice was firm, "trust me. We have a plan. Lucas, Noah, and we've been working on something. We're not going to let Stephen destroy you." "But what if he—" "Trust me," she repeated. "We've got this. Just hold on a little longer." "Okay." I closed my eyes, felt tears sliding down my face. "Okay," I whispered. "We love you, Grandpa. We'll fix this, I promise." When she hung up, I sat there in the dark. I didn't know what their plan was. I didn't know if it would work. But for the first time in days, I felt something other than despair. I felt hope. That evening, Emma, Lucas, and Noah came to my apartment. I heard the knock and opened the door. All three of them stood there, dressed casually, but still looking like they belonged in a different world than mine. Emma carried a laptop bag. Lucas had a folder. Noah held a tablet. "Can we come in, Grandpa?" Emma asked gently. I stepped aside. They filed in, and suddenly my tiny apartment felt even smaller. Emma sat on the worn couch. Lucas pulled up the only chair. Noah leaned against the wall. "We need to talk about what's happening," Emma said, opening her laptop. I sat down slowly. "I don't want you kids getting involved in this. Stephen's my problem, not yours." "He made it our problem when he lied about you," Lucas said firmly. "When he tried to destroy your reputation. That's not okay." Emma turned the laptop toward me. The screen showed Stephen's Facebook post and dozens more I hadn't seen. Posts in neighborhood groups. Comments on local news pages. All of them painting me as a con artist, a manipulator, a fraud. "It's gotten worse," Noah said quietly. "He's been contacting local media, trying to sell the story. Old man scams successful orphans." That kind of headline. My chest tightened. "He's really doing all this." "Yes," Emma said, "but we're going to stop him." "How?" "We're organizing a public event," Lucas explained. "A community gathering. We'll invite the press, the neighborhood, everyone who's seen Stephen's posts. And we're going to tell the truth. The real story. About how you saved us. How you raised us. How you gave us everything." I shook my head. "You don't need to do that. I don't need—" "Grandpa." Emma's voice was gentle but firm. "You gave us 5 years of your life. You worked yourself to the bone for us. You loved us when no one else would. Let us do this for you. Please." "But what if Stephen fights back?" I asked, my voice shaking. "What if he hurts you? What if he—" "He can't hurt us," Noah said. "We're not scared kids anymore. We're powerful. We have resources. And most importantly, we have the truth." "But, Grandpa—" Lucas interrupted, sitting forward. "We have evidence. Real evidence. Not just our word against Stephen's. We have proof of everything." I looked at him. "What kind of proof—" Emma closed the laptop. "We'd rather not say yet. We want to save it for the event. For maximum impact. But trust me, when people see what we have, there won't be any doubt about who's telling the truth." "What if it's not enough?" I whispered. "What if people still believe Stephen? What if I lose the cart, the apartment, everything?" "Then you'll move in with us," Emma said simply. "You'll never be alone again, Grandpa, no matter what happens. We've already set up a trust fund in your name," Noah added. "Enough to cover your expenses for life. You're taken care of. Win or lose, you're safe." I stared at them, my eyes burning with tears. "Why are you doing all this?" Lucas smiled. "Because you did it for us first." Emma reached over and took my hand. "You taught us what family means. You showed us that love isn't about blood. It's about showing up, being there, sacrificing. And now it's our turn to show up for you." "But I'm scared," I admitted. "Scared that Stephen will—" "We know," Emma said. "But Grandpa, you need to trust us. We've been planning this for days. We've thought through every angle. We know what we're doing." "The event is in 1 week," Lucas said. "October 21st. We'll handle everything. All you need to do is show up, Can you do that? I looked at the three of them, these kids I'd raised, these incredible, brilliant, powerful adults they'd become, and I thought, how did I get so lucky? Okay, I said finally, I trust you. Emma squeezed my hand. 1 week, Grandpa, and then everyone will know the truth. After they left, I sat alone in my apartment staring at the ceiling. I didn't know what evidence they had. I didn't know if their plan would work. But I knew one thing: I wasn't alone anymore. For the first time in 8 years, I had a family. A real family. And they were fighting for me. 1 week later, October 21st, 2024, a community center on the south side of Chicago. I stood backstage, my hands shaking, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Through the curtain, I could see the crowd, more than 200 people. Neighbors, customers, strangers, and at the back, reporters with cameras, bright lights, and microphones ready. Emma stood beside me, calm and composed in a sharp black suit. Lucas adjusted his tie. Noah checked his tablet one final time. You ready, Grandpa? Emma asked. I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. Let's go, she said. We walked onto the stage, and the room fell silent. I recognized familiar faces. Mrs. Jenkins Tommy from the construction site, the barber from across the street. And in the third row sat Stephen, arms crossed, face red with tension. Brenda sat beside him, stiff and uneasy. Emma stepped to the microphone. Her voice was steady, clear, commanding. Thank you all for coming, she said. My name is Emma Parker. This is my brother Lucas and my brother Noah. We're here to tell a true story about the man standing behind us, Blake Carson. She clicked a remote. The screen lit up with a photo of me 13 years earlier, standing beside my food cart. Younger, thinner, exhausted. 13 years ago, Emma continued, Blake Carson lost everything. His job, his wife, his home. His son forced him out. He came to Chicago with $200 and nothing else. Another image appeared: 3 children soaked from rain standing beneath an overpass. That same year, my brothers and I lost our parents in a car accident. We were 13 years old, homeless, terrified. No family would take all 3 of us. We were about to be separated. Her voice softened. Then we met Blake. He found us under a bridge one rainy night. He fed us. And then he did something no one else would. He gave us a home. Photos followed our tiny apartment, mismatched furniture, crowded meals, tired smiles. For 5 years, Blake raised us. He worked 16-hour days to keep food on the table. He taught us how to study, how to dream, how to survive. We called him Grandpa. He called us his grandkids. He gave us everything and never asked for anything in return. The room was silent. I saw people wiping tears. Emma showed the final image: 3 18-year-olds with backpacks ready to leave. I stood behind them, smiling through tears. In 2016, Blake told us to leave and build our futures. And we did. We went to college. We built careers. And we never forgot the man who saved us. She paused. Blake Carson didn't manipulate us. He didn't use us. He loved us. And that is the truth. Applause began, soft but growing. Then Stephen stood up. This is bullshit, he shouted. It's a con. My father is a liar. He's using these kids for money. He's always been a manipulator. Murmurs spread across the room. Lucas stepped forward, his voice cold. Stephen Carson, Blake's biological son. The man who threw his father out 13 years ago. The man who told him to stop existing 2 weeks ago. You want to talk about lies? Let's talk about yours. He clicked his remote. Exhibit A, Lucas said. Medical records, March 2018. Blake Carson was diagnosed with early-stage cancer. Treatment cost $1,200. Blake asked Stephen for help. Stephen replied in text messages, I'm not giving you money. Deal with it. Gaffs echoed. Stephen's face went pale. Exhibit B, Noah continued. Bank records from 2016 to 2024. Blake never received a single dollar from us. 0. We only began helping him financially 3 weeks ago. Another slide appeared. Exhibit C, emails from Stephen Carson to major media outlets attempting to sell a false story titled Old Man Cons Millionaire Orphans for $5,000. The crowd erupted. Stephen tried to speak, but no one listened. And finally Lucas said, Exhibit D, Dr. Richard Johnson. An older man stood. Dr. Lucas asked, Can you confirm Blake once refused $10,000 for returning a lost wallet? Yes, the doctor said. He asked only for enough to fix his cart. The room exploded with applause. People stood shouting. Brenda slipped away. Emma turned to me. Grandpa, would you like to speak? I walked to the microphone. Stephen is my son, I said quietly. I love him. But love doesn't mean accepting cruelty. I looked at Emma Lucas and Noah. They chose me. They stayed. That's family. The crowd stood cheering. Stephen walked out. I wasn't alone. My family stood beside me. 3 months later, January 2025, I woke up in a real bed for the first time in 13 years. Not a couch, not a mattress on the floor. A bed. In a quiet room with clean white walls and curtains that let in soft morning light. Emma Lucas and Noah had bought me an apartment in Northside Chicago. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with a real stove, windows that didn't rattle in the wind. It was small, but it was more than I'd ever dreamed of having again. Downstairs, I could hear Emma making coffee. Lucas was probably reading medical journals at the table. Noah would be tinkering with some gadget, humming to himself. My family. I got dressed and went downstairs. Emma smiled when she saw me. Morning, Grandpa. Coffee. Please, I said, sitting down. How'd you sleep? Lucas asked, looking up from his tablet. Like a rock, I admitted. It was true. For the first time in years, I wasn't worried about rent, about food, about whether I'd have a place to live tomorrow. The kids had set up that trust fund enough to cover my expenses for the rest of my life. I didn't have to work anymore, but I still did. 3 times a week I took my cart back to 47th and King Drive, not because I needed the money, but because I loved it. The routine, the customers, the conversations, and the customers came back. After the event, after the truth came out, people started showing up again. Some apologized for believing Stephen's lies. Others just smiled and said, "Good to see you, Blake." Mrs. Jenkins brought me homemade cookies. Tommy paid double for his hot dogs. The neighborhood had my back again. I wasn't invisible anymore, but not everything was happy. I'd heard things about Stephen, through Mrs. Jenkins, through people who knew people. He'd lost his job. The accounting firm didn't want the bad publicity. Brenda had filed for divorce 2 weeks after the event, took half of everything, and left. His friends stopped calling. His social media accounts went silent. He'd lost everything, just like I had 13 years ago. I told myself I should feel satisfied, vindicated. He'd tried to destroy me, and he'd destroyed himself instead. But all I felt was sad. Then one night in mid-January, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. Silence. Then a voice, shaking, broken. Dad. My chest tightened. Stephen. His voice cracked. He was crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I was jealous. I was angry. I wanted to hurt you because I was hurting, and I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I closed my eyes, felt tears sliding down my face. It's Stephen. I lost everything, he whispered. Brenda's gone. My job's gone. I have nothing. And I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I hurt you. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I sat there holding the phone, my heart breaking. He was my son, my only son. I'd held him as a baby, taught him to ride a bike, watched him graduate college. And he'd tried to destroy me. Stephen, I said quietly, you're still my son. I still love you. But I can't forget what you did. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I understand, he whispered. I forgive you, I said. But forgiveness doesn't mean things go back to the way they were. It means I'm letting go of the anger. It means I'm choosing peace. But trust, that takes time. Maybe years. Maybe never. He was silent for a long moment. Then thank you, Dad. That's more than I deserve. Take care of yourself, Stephen, I said. You too? The line went dead. I sat there in the quiet apartment staring at the phone. Emma appeared in the doorway. Grandpa, you okay? I looked up at her, at Lucas and Noah standing behind her, concern in their eyes. Yeah, I said, I'm okay. And I didn't know if Stephen and I would ever be close again. I didn't know if I'd ever trust him, if we'd ever have the father-son relationship I'd once dreamed of. But I knew one thing. I wasn't alone anymore. I had a family that chose me, that loved me, that would stand by me no matter what. And that was enough. So why am I telling you this true story? Because I want you to know something I learned the hard way. Something that took me 62 years, a lost marriage, a broken relationship with my son, and 3 homeless kids to finally understand. And I believe God was with me through all of it, even in the darkest moments. Lesson 1, kindness is never wasted. I gave 3 kids a hot dog, $3 worth of food. That's it. I didn't think it would change anything. I didn't expect them to become millionaires and save me 30 years later. I just saw 3 hungry kids and thought I can help. And you know what? That one act of kindness gave me everything: a family, a purpose, a reason to keep going when I had nothing left. I believe God put those 3 kids in my path that rainy night, not by accident, by design. You never know whose life you're changing when you choose kindness. That person you help today, they might be the one who saves you tomorrow. Or maybe they'll pay it forward and save someone else. Either way, kindness is never wasted. It always comes back, maybe not in the way you expect, but it always comes back. Lesson 2. Family isn't about blood. It's about choice. Stephen is my biological son. We share DNA. But he threw me away when I needed him most. Emma, Lucas, and Noah. We share nothing but love, and they chose me. Every single day, they chose me. That's what real family is. It's not about who you're born to. It's about who shows up, who stays, who loves you when you're broken and still sees you as whole. If you're struggling with family, if the people who are supposed to love you don't know this, you can build your own family. You can find your people, the ones who choose you. And that love, it's just as real, maybe even more real. This is one of those grandpa stories I wish I could tell every young person out there. Family is what you make it. Lesson 3. Don't let other people define who you are. Stephen called me a failure, an embarrassment. He told me to stop existing, and for a long time I believed him. I thought maybe he was right. Maybe I was worthless. But Emma, Lucas, and Noah, they called me grandpa. They called me a hero. They said I saved their lives. Same man, different perspectives. So here's what I learned. People will try to tell you who you are. They'll try to shrink you, shame you, make you feel small, but you get to decide. You get to choose which voice you listen to. God gave you worth, not people, not circumstances, God. If you're going through something hard right now, if someone betrayed you, hurt you, made you feel like you're not enough, listen to me. You are enough, you are worthy, and your story isn't over. One act of kindness can change everything. One choice to keep going can lead to a miracle. This true story happened to me, and if it can happen to a 62-year-old broke man selling hot dogs on a street corner, it can happen to you too. So don't give up. Keep being kind. Keep showing up. Keep believing that good things are coming. Because they are. These kinds of grandpa stories, these true stories about life loss and love, they matter. Because they remind us that we're not alone. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me what country are you watching from. And if this story touched your heart, share your own grandpa stories below. Let's spread kindness together. And remember, be kind. You never know who needs it. This is Blake Carson. Thank you for listening to my story. God bless you.